Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris the High Guy Jacobs, and today we're looking at Doomsday Last Survivor, taking a look at a topic that many have requested, many have asked me for, and so now is the time. Elite heroes. Which ones to use, which ones to avoid, and which ones to ignore entirely. Well, good thing there's only a handful to run through. I'll run through the purples here as quickly as we can. We'll take a look at some of the blues as well. And the greens kind of tell you what they do and what they're good for. Truth is, most of them are good for nothing. But some of them have some value. So let's be honest, okay? Especially if you're a free-to-play player, some of these actually might have value for you, specifically because you might not have anybody better in the legendary side of things. Or maybe you're an infantry main and you haven't spent the resources that you need on the legendary ones because they're more expensive to level up. To have something useful there. Okay, that's like me. I don't have a good ranged at all, so I'll show you what my ranged line is. It's poo-poo buckets, don't use it. Okay, it's literally the bare minimum. It's not really great. I could probably muster something together if I wanted to sacrifice some of the experience and stuff, but I'm really working on getting a solid infantry lineup first. Okay? Anyways, let's talk about these legendary heroes, who they are and what do they do. We'll start at the top of my what I've got here, and then we can kind of go down from there. First, you got a Kemi. She's a ranged leader. Chances are you're going to do nothing with her. You're going to awaken them all pretty easily by themselves, but you shouldn't really use her very often. She's kind of my ranged leader right now because I don't really have anybody better. I haven't put any... I haven't put any stars into Julia yet, though I could probably get her to 60, and then, I could probably get her to 60 and then have her lead instead. But I put her as the lead because she's awakened, which means that she gives all of these abilities. She gets her bonus. She hits still pretty okay. Not great, but pretty okay. Not really usable, but in a pinch, she's not bad. Then you got Liam, totally poo-poo buckets. I wouldn't worry ever about putting any information in or any resources into him. I know he's free, and I know you'll want to, but don't do it. I try to tell everybody he's not worth it. Let him level up entirely on his own. Don't put any extra stars into him. Only use his own stars that you'll get, because he's really not good. Even when he's awakened, he's poo, so just don't use him. Just save yourself the embarrassment of getting him to 60. He's just not worth it. Just don't use him. He's not good. Now you've got Sia. I think that's how you pronounce her name, Sia. She is a gatherer. She gathers oil really well. So let's look at why. If you look at through her skills, she's got increasing oil gathering speed by 30%. Or food, wood, and steel by 20%. So obviously use her for gathering oil, and then increasing the squad load by 35%, and then the squad capacity by 8%. So what's the difference? Well, squad capacity means you can bring more troops, and then squad load means you can bring more back. So if you use her to farm on an alliance resource node, for example, not only can you bring more troops to bring more back, but then you're bringing also back 35% more. And then an additional 10% when gathering is complete. So she's a really great gatherer, user to gather. Okay. Then you got Captain Russell. Captain Russell is ace. He's probably one of the most usable purples or the elites that you'll have. He's great for zombie hunting. In fact, that's what you'll probably always use him for, because he does decent damage to zombies specifically. Additional 30% bonus damage to zombies. He gains or increases EXP by 50% or 35%, pardon me, for the leader and the co-leader. So he's really good at helping you level up your other heroes that you want to get. So like if you send him with a level 1, for example, that level 1 will become a level 10 very quickly. And you can use him to level up, the rest of your heroes. It becomes a little slower paced, obviously, once you get trying to level up the 50s, but anytime you're grinding zombies, anytime you have to grind zombies, he's a great opportunity and a great option to do that. He's one of my top zombie leaders that you'll have. Same with the next one, Peggy. She's another great one for killing zombies, dealing additional damage to zombies, increasing damage to zombies, reducing damage from zombies, increasing squad attack, healing from zombies, giving you bonus resources and making it cheaper, right? So she's perfect when you want to talk about fighting zombies, right? So when people ask me who do you choose to fight zombies, there's really only a handful of them. You're going to pick those two, obviously, right? 1, 2. These are your two elite here. Then, in my opinion, I'm going to stack someone like Martin, but we've already gone over those guys in Legendary, so I won't necessarily talk about them. But I would do Martin, Lee, and probably Jaden as zombie hunters as well. But these are your main two here. Okay? Then you have another gatherer, Alexander Sokolov. He's an amazing gatherer. He gathers steel very well, so increases steel by 30%, or food, oil, and wood by 20%, so obviously send him for steel. When attacked, that's whatever, no big deal. He does engine load by 34%, so he can bring more back with less troops. And then increase travel speed by 15% for the engines. So again, another gatherer increases speed and increases load. And then this guy's also really good for co-leading lines in like arena or things like that, or in the battlefield. He's actually got some utility because of this buff. Once you have him awakened, where you're increasing, like right here, increasing infantry squad defense by 40%, range squad attack by 40%, and rider HP by 40%, you can start to see how he will have some abilities. Affects up to 5 squads. Also recovers 60 rage. So even as an elite, he still has some usability. So I'll use him in arena, for example, or use him with someone like you could put him with a ton of people out in the field. Put him with someone like Thunder. Put him with someone like Ragaro, who's got some like sustainability, who wants to be in the middle of the fights. Where he's able to survive and give out those buffs a lot. And he's actually pretty usable, especially if you don't have someone like Victor Blackwood ready to go, or you don't have, Bianca ready to go, things like that. Next, you got Jeremy, another great gatherer. Great at gathering wood. Again, almost specifically wood. Increases all gathering speed by 20%, but wood by an additional 10. So 30% to your wood. Travel speed by 30%, squad capacity by 8, so he can bring more troops to bring more back, and then overall gathering speed by an additional 10%. So you're basically getting 40% to your wood, increasing your target speed, your travel speed by a ton, increasing so you can bring more troops to obviously bring more back. Good at farming wood. Then you got Charlie. Charlie is low-key really good. You'll see him a lot in really tanky lines. He does really well because he recovers rage decently. He's got some decent rage regeneration for an elite. He's very tanky. A lot of what he does allows him to be decently tanky. So decreasing damage, increasing defense. When he's garrisoning, for example, increasing HP. So he still has some usability, and so you can still see him, especially if you have nobody better. You can still use him a lot in arena, for example, or battling in the field as a co-leader. 100% you can still use him. He's still got utility. Same with Park Don Wook. You'll see him a lot in things like Bounty Hunter, or Bounty Grounds, pardon me, or even out in the field in the fast marches, because his abilities make him very quick. After leaving, like here, for example, after leaving a battle, increases travel speed by 50%, so he's great for trying to get away from stuff. He's pretty tanky in comparison as well. And so he increases defense, increases that travel speed when he needs to. He's tanky. He's got an okay damaging ability, so if you have nobody better, he's not bad. But he's got some usability. You'll see him kind of helping out, especially in like Bounty Ground, like I said. Now you've got Siogina. She's probably going to be your co-lead if you have nobody else. She's my co-lead right now for my ranged line. So I lead with Akemi, and then I have Siogina as my co-lead, and it sucks. It's very, very poo-poo. Don't do it. but it's currently, I mean, like I said, I haven't invested much into my range line, so I could probably put something together, and I think Julia would probably be better than Akemi. I just haven't switched it over yet. Actually, wait, have I? I'm going to check Julia right now. If she's got the armaments that I have. Yep, so I have. So I don't even use Akemi anymore. I use Julia instead. Julia's my main line, and then Siogina runs secondary, only because her skills are better. Increases the squad attack by 30%, increases basic attack damage. Again, basic attack damage during siege, ranged attack and defense, counter damage, reduces counter damage, makes it a little bit tankier, and then hits a little bit harder. So she's probably a better CoLead in regards to that if you're going to use that. At least that's what everyone tells me, and she seems to do better than Akemi as a CoLead, so I keep with her. Now you got Freya Herman. Freya Herman is the counter to... or not the counter, but the opposite to Park Dong-wook. Park Dong-wook is more of the defensive, like runaway type. Freya is more the opposite. So when she hops into battle, for example, or when she triggers her rage skill, she reduces travel speed. She increases attack damage, increases squad capacity, so you can bring more troops. Also increases travel speed by 50%. So she wants to kind of be in the fight. She has the capability to run away, but she kind of wants to be in the fight. She's more of the damage dealer. And Park Dong-wook is more of the tankier one, so that's kind of the way that I see them. So if you want a line that's going to hit harder and things like that and slow them down and kind of allow you to keep up, you're going to choose Freya. If you want a line that's going to be able to get away be a little bit tanky, or you're going to pick Park. Next, you've got John Sunderland. Honestly, I don't do anything with him. As you can see, he's only level 13. I don't ever use him in lines. Because the only thing that he would do is probably co-lead in something for a siege. But even then, if you have nobody better, you're not going to be leading those siege marches. So he's not going to be doing anything there. Same with Edward. He's a garrison, and that's what he would do best. But the problem with that is that there's always better picks. Rago is free, and almost everyone has him. He's going to be always a better pick than that. Tom is free, and like for infantry, you're already going to have a better garrison hero than him. If you only have the two and you use them in battle, he might be a good option to have sitting on your wall while you're away, while your headline is away, things like that. But other than that, there's not much for him. He heals a little bit tanky. When garrisoning, squad counter damage is increased. So like he's not bad. But again, there's just always better choices. Into these ones here, we've got Angela. Angela still has a little bit of utility, believe it or not, in the arena, for example, because she heals in a group, so not just herself. So if you have, like, if you want a little bit more sustainability in your march, and you're like a free-to-play player and you have nobody better, she does have a decent, like an okay, like area of effect heal, so she can heal up to 3 squads. She does a little bit of everything, increases HP overall, increases squad capacity so you can bring more people. Obviously here, I use her to gather more often. If in my, 4th or 5th line, I'll use her as a co-leader, to gather. Then you got Samuel. Samuel is a zombie hunter, but you've already got 5 zombie hunters to choose from, so he'll probably not see very much action. But you can always level him up for TC points, for top commander points. Chris is going to be good for helping gather as well, with that gathering speed of 20% overall. Squad capacity, bring more troops. I typically have her farming oil. She also has this one here as well, this increased EXP, so you could use her as well if you're trying to level up. But again, you've got other choices like Russell and Martin. Those are probably 2 better choices, but again, she has the same effect. And then you've got Michelle. Now, Michelle's an interesting character. Lots of people love her. I'm a big fan of her, not just for the meme, but she also has this nice little buff here. So if you're struggling in arena and you're struggling to find good choices on who to help support and things like that, she's not horrible. With this attack and defense of nearby allies by 20% and 20% respectively is decent, up to 3 squads. So it helps boost the entire bonus for your entire team. She's got a couple here where they're all based around gathering, so obviously you're going to use her to gather regularly, but if you're struggling for someone to help, you know, in the arena and you can't find a last person to put in that line, you got nobody else, put Michelle. She's got a nice little buff. She's kind of fun to play with. If you're talking about these 4 down here, they're really just used as fillers for everything. If I'm building, if you're building a tower and you're going to send 1 troop to build the tower, send one of your green heroes. Andrew Morrison is a co-lead for one of my farming lines because he's got something here, right? So he does an extra 18%. Squad load by 30%, so you can bring more. So they've got some things like that. This guy only ever builds. that's Stan. He's a builder. She kind of does the same. She does a little bit of everything, but it's all, you know, a whole bunch of nothing. So she builds as well. Allison builds. Stan builds. The actual back alley doctor gathers. If you want to, if you've got nobody else, he's got squad load and increasing by 18% for steel. Is that steel? Yeah, steel. And then obviously Andrew Morrison, like I mentioned, is also a little bit of a gatherer. He helps out with squad load and food by 18%. So once we go through all of that, you'll see that, I mean, there's tons to choose from. Most of the ones that you're going to get are going to be legendary, and they're going to fill out these positions very early. But if you're struggling in the legendary hero category, there are still a handful that you can use in the elites to help you kind of fill out those lines, either in the arena or in the battlefield or you know, in your farming lines if you're still looking for a couple to help you out there too. So that way you're not hyper focusing. Not necessarily hyper focusing, but like concentrating them all to a couple of marches. For example, let's take a look at my marching line. Okay, my marching lineup. So we can actually see what they actually look like. If I go gather here and I look at my marching lineup, I've got my main march lineup, Maxine, because she does food at 36%, right? And does higher load. Plus she's brings additional resources. Plus she brings that additional reward. And I've got her paired with Andrew Morrison because he increases my food squad by 18%. So together that's 36 and 18 is 54, right? So 54% just to my food, and an extra, what is it? 55 to squad load. So he has his place. Second, if I look at here, I've got Sarah in here now, since they just dropped Sarah as a new collection hero, so she helps with my wood line, and she will take the main over him as soon as I get some of her skills up a little bit better. But they basically work the same. The only reason why she's here now is only because she's a lower level, and his tree is entirely leveled out, right? Next, my steel line involves Alexander. He's the one that does steel, right? 30% for steel, and then she does a bonus 20% altogether. So that's 50% gathering speed boost. Next, if I look at this one, I've got Sia. She does oil, right? Oil at 30%, and then she adds an additional 20%. So I'm getting 50% additional to my oil speed gathering boost. And then my build line, I told you, I got Stan here. Stan sends 1 troop. That's all he ever sends. And then if I want somebody else, I've got this guy, the back alley doctor, because the other steel is here, right? So there's lots of options you can use, especially if you're struggling for heroes. But just know that honestly, once you have someone to replace them, don't worry about it, because you'll always have options in your legendary heroes that do what those heroes do but better. Okay, so if you had to, like I did, level out one to help you out in a pinch, not a problem. But know that a level 50 here is actually much better overall than your level 60 almost fully decked out. You see what I'm saying? So the elite heroes, some of them still have their place, most of them kind of don't. But that's it, guys. That's it for going over the legendary heroes. That's all I've got for you today. Again, stay tuned this coming week. We've got a new video dropping. For those who have been watching, we've got a new video dropping out where we're starting a 7-part series going over all of the armaments in depth. We're going to take a look at every single armament in every single troop or in every single category. And there are 7 different categories. So stay tuned for that. If you like what you saw, if you like what you and agree with what you saw today, go ahead and hit up the like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and fill out the notification bell. If you disagree with what you saw today, go ahead and put it in the comment section. Let's have a discussion. Tell me why I'm wrong, or tell me why you think your ideas or your opinion is better. Because I love to have conversations about that kind of stuff. So hit me up in the comment section below. But that's it, guys. Thanks very much for hanging out with me. I'd love to say, stay tuned for the next video we got coming up. If you have anything else you'd like to say, reach out to me in game. I'm open to communication if you have any questions. If you want to join us, you know where to find me. Region 474, Alliance GROP, the Grow Op. And with that being said, guys, love, peace, chicken grease, and for everybody else, stay lifted.